united, we can do a lot for each other and to make our work environment better. I don't know, this isn't going to work.
No,
it's too phony. No. It's too phony.
Well, yes, we can. We can make it so much better. Step by step, we'll be together. Believe it, yes, we can. Reach out, you're not alone. We're walking down the same road. Look up, we'll find a way. Together we can make a change. Side by side, we stand together. Hold your head up high. Yes, we can. We can make it so much better. Step by step, we'll be together. Believe it, yes, we can.
The very first meeting I went to was 5 years ago, and I just didn't like the way things were being handled. And in that first meeting I became a shop steward. It's almost as if you were sleeping, especially from the time you get married and you're having children, although there's nothing wrong with that, you know, it's good, and I enjoyed that chapter of my life when I was going through it. There comes a time in your life when you want to do something for yourself, and this is something that I wanted to do for me too. The extra education, I found it was interesting after staying home for so long and working and looking after my kids, especially in the beginning years, you know, when I became a single parent. Well, women don't seem to bother about their rights. I don't know why. Maybe it's because they are busy with their families, their husbands, their kids. And it's only when they get to be a certain age that they start to all of a sudden notice that they lost their rights somewhere along the way. They feel that they have been mistreated for years and years and years, and then all of a sudden something happens, and that spark, you know, that little light all of a sudden is there, and it makes them over one little thing decide that this is it, this is the last straw, I'm not going to take any more. Housekeeping people, the service workers, the people that the patients come in contact with every day, they're the backbone of the whole hospital.
But we are really not very well treated or even respect or recognized. Housekeeping is hard, and I'll tell you why it's hard. It's never finished, because you'll do the same thing day in, day out, and it's always there to be done. So housekeeping is very hard, and it's very necessary. It's like starting another job when I get home. When I get home, my husband can sit and watch TV, I can't.
I said it would be nice to have a union at home, too.
What are some of the things you've gone through together?
Just the fact we're all around about the same age, and we've all had kids and husbands, and maybe husband problems or money problems. We know what it's like to try and make a living for ourselves in this world, and it can be pretty difficult at times, yeah. What we try to do is we try to tell our shop stewards that anybody who comes to you with a problem, it doesn't have to necessarily be something in the collective agreement. It doesn't have to be something that you're going to take to arbitration. The thing to do is to try and have a cup of coffee with that person, sit down with that person and listen to that person. But if they say they've got a problem, then let's hear what it is. This isn't union talk, okay? But I feel everybody needs love in their life. And so many people nowadays don't seem to have it. They don't know how to give it, and they don't know how to accept it when it's been given to them. And I think we have to reach out and touch people more. If you're going to build a union, you've got to start with the workers. If you've got 10 people that are interested, then you've got to educate those 10 people. Then you've got to tell those 10 people to go out and bring in one person each. That's all. Then you'll have 20, and then those 20 will go out and bring one person each.
Did you ever feel like, oh my God, this is just too much. I can't do it all.
Lots of times.
Did you get through it?
Oh, kick the door, scream. That's what I really do. And you're going to tell everybody that? Oh, gosh. But that's what I do. Yeah, I throw my bag in the door and I scream and I say, that's the last meeting I'm going to, or I just can't cope with this. And then I relax, have a cup of tea, and everything looks all right again. I've been told many times that I'd be better off barefoot and pregnant and in the kitchen. That, I hope, is part of an old school. I hope that the younger men and the younger generation will be more sympathetic to women as human beings. There's the equal pay for work of equal value type of issue, that men don't understand that because they feel that because maybe they're stronger and they can lift so many more pounds than a woman, then they're entitled to more money. And the woman's just working every bit as hard and making the beds and breaking her back, sweeping the floors and cleaning and do all the other necessary things.
Why are men so scared of that issue, do you think?
Well, they're afraid of losing their power and their power over women. And I don't think they should be afraid of that, because I don't think that anybody should have power over anybody else, that we should aim to be equal.
I'm a cafeteria worker for the Toronto Board of Education. I'm shop steward, I'm on the negotiating committee, and I'm also on the health and safety committee.
What's the biggest difficulty the women in your union face in dealing with the men?
Being treated as their equals, having our opinions respected, appreciated. In my own local, I find that this is particularly difficult because of the type of work I do. They already consider me nothing more than a housewife to begin with. I'm doing women's work for a living, so the issues in the cafeteria tend to be put aside. The men become impatient when they're brought up at a meeting. They're not interested in your problems. They're very minor problems. All you do is serve food, wash pots, and clean tables for a living. They're not interested in the problems we run into on the job. They seem to think that we pick small issues to deal with, but they are important to us. Our working conditions are just as important. Our collective agreement is just as important as theirs. We worked hard for those things, but they don't see it that way. They really don't. They tend to ignore the whole thing.
What's it going to take to get the guys to care about how we feel about things?
Well, I think we're going to have to get them angry, and maybe the caring will come after that.
How do you mean?
They're going to get angry because we're going to demand equal time. Because we're going to say, yes, this is important to me. And yes, this is what I want to do. And after they get over being angry and their egos being pushed around a little because that's what they feel is being happen, then maybe they'll begin to care. We need more women that are going to stand out.
Okay.
Having women that aren't going to be afraid to take on jobs as shop steward or get in the negotiating committee, run for the executive, become the president of a local. They'll listen to you. They'll have to. Guys, give us the chance to show you that we're quite capable. We're intelligent. There are issues that mean a lot to us. They're important to us, just as important as yours are, and you manage to get where you are by standing up for yourselves, by fighting, and we can do exactly the same thing. We can help, we can work together, we don't have to be a threat to one another. I shouldn't have to feel because you're a man I can't talk to you. and don't feel because I'm a woman I don't understand.
It's also important for unions to now become the instruments, the movements for social change that they should have been all along. That being the case, it's very important for men inside unions to start making these relationship changes and start this rebuilding process. And that's what it is. It's not destructive, it's a rebuilding process.
And that came from management as a result.
Women are going to have to continue to be the leading edge of this type of change for some time. But men, more and more, are going to have to help other men stop hurting women. At some point, you'll hear a man say, broad, and you will personally feel a hurt. You'll personally feel it tug on you. I think a lot of men who are at a stage where they don't like having to be in that position, and they don't like the idea that they are hurting women with their behavior.
Because we're going to run into difficulty with people saying they didn't know.
One of the best first things that they can do is talk to a woman about it. And you'll feel a heck of a lot better when you do, because so much tension is going to disappear when you finally find that you don't have to act like a man. And you don't have to look for a woman who acts like a lady. You're going to get along a lot better. You're going to be a lot easier. You're going to feel a lot better. And you're going to be doing your kids a favor, too. I have a son, and I would like him to grow up in a world where half the world isn't being treated like it doesn't belong there. And he has to inherit the role of making sure they stay in that position.
What would you like to put in the truck, Josh?
It's not right to have so many of the people in our country, in our unions, and in our world being treated as if they don't belong. Or that they have only limited access to what is here. It's not a foreign idea at all for the union movement to approach things and to attack them and to fight them in every possible way just because they're wrong. So why don't we just fight this because it's wrong? Why don't we just change the split between men and women in the union, outside the union, because it's wrong? We all know that it's wrong. Every man who has encountered it, even if he's been a creep and treated a woman badly, has known that it's wrong. I know that every man knows that it's wrong. So if we all know that it's wrong, why don't we just change it because it's wrong?
And you're going to be a good husband, right, Nick?
Yeah!
And you're going to wash the dishes every night.
No way, I will not eat food.
Yeah!
And you're going to cook the dinner, too.
Yeah!
Yeah, and you're going to do the vacuuming.
Yeah!
And you're going to mow the lawn.
Yeah!
And you're going to wash.
Yeah!
And paint the house, do everything.
We met at a party where they were raising money to send to the working people in Chile. And I met Nelson at that dance. I thought he was quite a nice person, but we didn't actually start going out until about 3 years later. And I had just about exhausted my hope in men at that time, so he came along at about the right time.
I think I try to do the best, I clean, I cook, I change Nicholas. To be as a mother for, it's no problem. But 10 years ago I didn't think like this. 10 years ago I didn't think like this. I think the woman was a woman, stay home, that's it. The man's the guy who work and bring the money, and the woman clean the house, wash the dishes, and clean the boys, and that's all for her.
What caused you to change?
Oh, I work in Chile in a union, with women. So the leader of the Howard Union was a woman. And she was a very brave woman fighting for the labor class. She fight better than the men, more brave. She was in the front of the line when the policeman came fighting against the boss. And he teach me about the equal between the man and the woman. And the freedoms could be the same for the woman, for the man.
We go through all kinds of discussions and all kinds of issues and learn things from each other, read things together, discuss them, go to our meetings, come back and discuss those meetings. The experience that I have in CUPE, I share with his experience in the Marine workers. When I was on maternity leave, I was kind of angry when people kept calling me saying there's a meeting tonight, there's a meeting tonight, there's a meeting tonight. And I felt like, why isn't there a maternity leave from the union too? A lot of pressure for Canadian women is to be the total activist, the total mother, you know, the total intellectual, the total everything. And there's no kind of conception that it's a bloody hard thing to do. You know, there's no, well, I think people now feel like they have to be everything. A woman feels like she has to do everything to be a normal woman.
Gang, gooly, 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 gotcha. Ging, gang, goo, ging, gang, goo. Ging, gang, gooly, 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 gotcha. Ging, gang, goo, ging, gang, goo, I gotcha.
I work with multiply handicapped children. The kids don't talk or don't walk or can't feed themselves, so most of it is very basic work. That's another aspect of the job that makes it hard, you know, when you're always putting in without getting a heck of a lot of response back.
See if you can keep your legs straight.
Then you come home and you put in to your family.
That's a girl.
I get quite a bit back from my son, and that's very rewarding.
Such a good kid.
Before, when there was no son and no marriage to pay a lot of attention to, it was an awful lot easier to be involved in the trade union movement. And you have to continue. You can't just think about your own family. You have to continue to work with other people's welfare in mind, and that's why I enjoy very much and I get a lot of satisfaction from being active in the union.
Shayla, 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 oh. Shayla, 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 oh.
I wanted Zenny to be able to grow up in a world that was more open to a lot of the things that I feel are valuable. I started to realize that by satisfying my needs, I was being a much more healthy mother, and also doing things that were going to make Zenny's world an easier place to live in for her as a woman.
I guess I'm sort of taking after Betty in that way, that I stand up for myself. Other people sort of try and get me to stand up for them too. I'm sort of half a pushover, but I'm pretty good at debating things. It does help to be able to stand up for yourself and talk freely and even defend other people and their rights.
I think a lot of that is you, too.
I think it's both of us. I sort of understand people. I guess that's because I was in most of the positions that they are in. And then I know exactly how I'm going to defend them.
I work in the Saskatoon Public Library, and I'm a library assistant. We just finished negotiating our first contract.
We're drinking pretty fast here, guys.
When I first started working at the library, I thought it was the most marvelous job in the world. I was tremendously excited about it. I learned over a period of years that it's not as wonderful as I thought it was, and I reached a point where I hated it. I was tremendously insecure. I suffered a lot over it. The difference that the union's made for me is it has made me feel safe, you know, which may not mean too much to some people, but I have more confidence now.
My job is a nursing attendant. I take care of the needs of the elderly residents in the homes for the aged. We are very, very close to those elderly people. We are even closer than the relatives because when they go into those places, they are left there to be taken care of by us. So they become a part of the family. And you give of yourself. Our directors and our administrators, if they find that a resident is attached to you, they remove you immediately from the floor. Okay, I have to leave you now. I'll come back to see you after. Okay, Margaret? The management people treat you as if you're on a production line. They treat people like parcels. You lift and you slug that load. They treat people as just as if they are something to throw out. We are a group of women that, even though we are looked down on, we have to deal with life and death. We are like a motherhood, but not, we are dealing with the young ones at home and we are dealing with the elderly ones at work. We think we're very important. The management in my place of work, they're very, very contemptuous. They don't trust any worker. Attendants are treated with disrespect most of the time. A good example of that is management questioning the laundry women about the diaper count. And they were suspecting the workers of taking these diapers home to use on their babies. That's where we are. That's what happens every day of your life. You're monitored every single day of your life. Well, my motivation is that to show management, in spite of us being healthcare workers, we are very proud. And we wouldn't stoop to all their accusations and suspicions, even though that's where we get our bread and butter. More women are afraid, and they're afraid because they're not given any opportunity. I think most of them are afraid of the future. Now, if I should lose this job, I'm a single mother. Where am I going to get a job? What are the chances of me being employed anywhere else? We are afraid that if we should speak out, we wouldn't get anywhere. And if we don't speak out, nobody would know how we are feeling inside. No one would know how angry we are. This is a year for all women to stand up and take action in the things they believe in. I have to raise my family, I have to struggle, and I have to fight. We want women that are willing to join up and don't be afraid to march and march with the rest of us. Don't be afraid to stand up even if what you're saying you don't think it sounds right. You might have a different accent because you're a foreigner. You might not have a command in English. But people that are around you are in the same boat that you are in, and they would understand what you're trying to say. We need to work together. We need to show each other what is necessary in fighting for our rights.
And what can we show each other?
We have to show each other a lot of patience, a lot of love, and we have to give each other the courage to join up. Join up the union and let us be strong. Let our voices be heard.